you ever wonder what would happen if NATO went to war with Russia, but the US sat this one out? Okay, first, NATO without the USA is like the Avengers. Without Iron Man, you still have some powerful heroes, the UK, France, Germany, Turkey, Poland, but you're missing the biggest suit of armor in the room. Because here's the truth. Out of NATO's total defense spending, the US alone covers about 70%. Yeah, 70%. That's not just a big piece of the pie. That's the entire bakery. So let's say, boom, war breaks out in Eastern Europe. Russia pushes west. NATO calls an emergency meeting. But the Americans? They're not coming. Now what happens? The UK steps up first. They've got a serious military, modern fighter jets, submarines, and a nuclear arsenal. France too. They've got nukes, tanks, aircraft carriers, and one of the most professional armies in Europe. Germany, well, they've got money, but their army's been downsized for decades. They're rebuilding now, but they're not exactly ready for a massive land war with Russia tomorrow morning. Then there's Poland. Tough, ready, motivated. They've been preparing for a Russian threat for years, but even with all their upgrades, they can't take on Russia alone. Now Russia, they've got over 1 million active troops, thousands of tanks, long-range missiles, and the world's largest nuclear arsenal. Even after losses in Ukraine, Russia's still a powerhouse in raw numbers and firepower. Their problem? Logistics, morale, and aging tech. A lot of their equipment is old, and their supply chains can be messy. But against a divided Europe, they'd still be dangerous. Air war. Let's talk skies. Without the US Air Force, NATO loses its biggest edge. The Americans have stealth bombers, AWACS radar planes, massive refueling fleets, all the behind-the-scenes tech that makes modern war possible. Europe has great planes, Eurofighters, Rafales, Gripens, but not enough to cover the whole continent. And once those start taking damage, replacing them is not as easy as ordering on Amazon Prime. Russia, meanwhile, would throw up their MiGs and Sukhois, fast, aggressive, but fewer in number and not as advanced as F-35s. Still, without US support, the air war becomes way more equal and way more brutal. On the ground, it's messy. Russia knows land war. They've got deep reserves, experience in winter combat, and a strategy built on endurance. But NATO countries like Poland, the Baltics, and Finland, they'd fight tooth and nail. Europe's terrain favors defense. Forests, rivers, mountains. So while Russia might punch hard early, holding that territory would be another story. Imagine cities like Warsaw, Berlin, or Helsinki turning into fortress zones. Europe wouldn't go down easy, but without the US, supply lines would stretch thin fast. And then there's the scary part, nukes. France and the UK both have nuclear weapons. Russia has way more. If things start going bad for either side, nuclear threats could come fast, and that's where everything stops. Because everyone knows that once nukes start flying, nobody wins. So, what do you think? Could Europe really stand up to Russia without America's help? Or would the bear take the field? Drop your thoughts below, because this one's heavy. And if you like what if deep dives like this, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe, because part 2's coming in the next video. And trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.